Divine Grace, Abhay Charanaramindra Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Ashtottara Shata Shri Shrimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्भागवतम की श्रील प्रभुपाद की Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Shrimadbhagavatam Canto. Today we are going to read Canto 1 from Canto 1, Chapter 9, Text 30. Let us start with the invocation prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam.
Narayanam Namaskrityam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tato Jayamudiraye.
Tujayamudirayet.
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu.
Nashtaprayashu Bhadreshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke.
Uttama Sloke.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
Bhaktirvati Naistiki.
Krishnaya Vasudevaya.
Krishnaya Vasudevaya.
Devaki Nandanaya Cha.
Devaki Nandanaya Cha.
Nandagopa Kumaraya.
Nandagopakumaraya.
Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Hare Krishna. Welcome to Shrimadbhagavatam Canto Mandir. Today we are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 9, The Passing Away of Bhishmadeva in the Presence of Lord Krishna. Text 30. Tadopasamhritya
Tadopasamhritya
Giras Sahasrane.
Girah Sahasrane.
Tadopasamhritya Giras Sahasrane.
Tadopasamhritya Girah Sahasrane.
Vimukta
Vimukta
Sangam
Sangam
Mana
Mana
Adipurushe.
Adipurushe.
Vimukta Sangam Mana Adipurushe.
Vimukta Sangam Mana Adipurushe.
Krishne
Krishne
Lasat
Lasat
Pita
Pita
Pate
Pate
Chaturbhuje.
Chaturbhuje.
Krishne Lasat Pita Pate Chaturbhuje.
Krishne Lasat Pita Pate Chaturbhuje.
Pura
Purah
Stite
Sthite
Amilita
Milita
Drug
Drig
Vyadharya.
Vyadharaya.
Pura Stite Amilita Drug Vyadharya.
Purah Sthite Milita Drig Vyadharaya.
Tadopasamhritya Gira Sahasrane.
Tadopasamhritya Girah Sahasrane.
Vimukta Sangam Manadipurushe.
Vimukta Sangam Adipurushe.
Krishne Lasat Pita Pate Chaturbhuje.
Krishne Lasat Pita Pate Chaturbhuje.
Purastite Amilita Drag Vyadharaya.
Purah Sthite Milita Drig Vyadharaya.
Tadopasamhritya Gira Sahasrane.
Tadopasamhritya Girah Sahasrane.
Vimukta Sangam Manadipurushe.
Vimukta Sangam Mana Adipurushe.
Krishne Lasat Pita Pate Chaturbhuje.
Krishne Lasat Pita Pate Chaturbhuje.
Purastite Amilita Drag Vyadharaya.
Purah Sthite Milita Drig Vyadharaya.
Anyone would like to repeat?
Tadopasamhritya Girah Sahasrane.
Tadopasamhritya Gira Sahasrane.
Vimukta Sangam Mana Adipurushe.
Vimukta Sangam Manadipurushe.
Krishne Lasat Pita Pate Chaturbhuje.
Krishne Lasat Pita Pate Chaturbhuje.
Purah Sthite Milita Drig Vyadharaya.
Purastite Amilita Drag Vyadharaya. We'll go word by word. Tada.
Tada.
At that time.
At the time.
Upasamritya.
Upasamhritya.
Withdrawing.
Withdrawing.
Gira.
Gira.
Speech.
Speech.
Sahasrane.
Sahasrane.
Bhishmadeva.
Vishmadeva.
Who was expert in thousands of science and arts.
Who was expert in thousands of science and arts.
Vimukta Sangam.
Vimukta Sangam.
Completely freed from everything else.
Completely freed from everything else.
Mana.
Mana.
Mind.
Mind.
Adipurushe.
Adipurushe.
Onto the original personality of Godhead.
To the original personality of Godhead.
Krishna.
Krishna.
Onto Krishna.
Onto Krishna.
Lasat Pita Pate.
Lasat Pita Pate.
decorated with yellow garments, Chaturbhuje, onto the 400 original Narayana, Pura, just before, Stite, standing, Amilita, widespread, Drik, vision, Yadharayat, fixed. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace of Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. Thereupon, that man who spoke on different subjects with thousands of meanings, who fought on thousands of battles and protected thousands of men, stopped speaking, and being completely freed from all bondage, withdrew his mind from everything else, and fixed his wide open eyes upon the original personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who stood before him 400, dressed in yellow garments that glittered and shined. Please repeat. Translation. Thereupon, that man who spoke on different subjects with thousands of meanings, who fought on thousands of battles and protected thousands of men, stopped speaking and being completely freed from all bondage, withdrew his mind from everything else and fixed his wide open eyes upon the original personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who stood before him 400, dressed in yellow garments that glittered and shined. Perfect. In the momentous hour of leaving his material body, Bhishmadeva set the glorious example concerning the important function of the human form of life. The subject matter which attracts the dying man becomes the beginning of his next life. Therefore, if one is absorbed in thoughts of Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, he is sure to go back to Godhead without any doubt. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 8.5 to 15.5. And however, at the time of death, quits his body, and whoever at the time of death quits his body remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting, with your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, and you will attain me without doubt. He who meditates on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from path, he, O Partha, Arjuna, is sure to reach me. 9. One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, as he who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, who is maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable, and who is always a person. He is luminous like the sun, and being transcendental is beyond this material nature. One who at the time of death fixes his life hair between his eyebrows and in full devotion engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 11. Persons learned in the Vedas who utter Omkara and who are great sages in the renounced order enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. The yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements, closing all the doors of senses and fixing the mind on the heart and the life air at the top of the head. One established himself in yoga. 13. After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. 14. For one who remembers me without deviation am easy to obtain, O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. 15. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. Sri Bhishmadeva attained the perfection of quitting his body at will and was fortunate enough to have Lord Krishna, the object of his attention, personally present at the time of his death. He therefore fixed his open eyes upon him. He wanted to see Sri Krishna for a long time out of his spontaneous love for him, because he was a pure devotee. He had very little to do with detailed performance of yogic principles. Simple bhakti yoga is enough to bring about perfection. Therefore, the ardent desire of Bhishmadeva was to see the person of Lord Krishna, the most lovable object, and by the grace of the Lord, Sri Bhishmadeva had this opportunity at the last stage of his breathing. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parigana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. We are reading from Shrimadbhagavatam Canto 1, Chapter 9, Passing Away of Bhishmadeva, text 30, and go through translation once again. Thereupon, that man who spoke on different subjects with thousands of meanings, and who fought on thousands of battlefields, and protected thousands of men, stopped speaking, and being completely freed from all bondage, withdrew his mind from everything else, and fixed his wide open eyes upon the original personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who stood before him four-handed, dressed in yellow garments that glittered and shined. So, yesterday we have seen how while Bhishmadeva was describing occupational duties, the sun's course ran into northern hemisphere. This period is decided by mystics who die at their will. So how auspicious the sun moving into northern hemisphere to yesterday we have seen the importance of Uttarayana Kala, and supreme person like many yogis and many saintly persons, they would like to quit their body in that auspicious time. Jai Shri Radha Krishna Hari Krishna Jai Shri Radha So how saintly persons would like to quit their body in that auspicious time so that their death is ascertained to be perfection. So Bhishmadeva not waited for that Uttarayana intentionally, but it was Lord Krishna's order, and Lord Krishna is personally present before him, and Lord Krishna made Bhishmadeva deliver message to Yudhishthira Maharaj about Raj Dharma, about social orders, all the occupational duties. So that was the main reason behind because Bhishmadeva has Ichha Mrityu, so in middle of death. So whenever he wants to quit his body, he can quit. He even thought like it is more auspicious in the time of Uttarayana, when the sun turns into northern hemisphere. So that was yesterday. So today we are gonna see the last moment of Bhishmadeva, how Bhishmadeva is quitting his body by meditating upon the 400 form of Krishna as Narayana, with even decorated with yellow garments. So he started meditating upon Lord, widen his eyes, and continuous meditation on the 400 form. So today we are going to see how the final test, the consciousness and death, and Bhishma's vision of Krishna, meditation made personal, and the glorious example, Bhishma's passing and our preparation. First comes first is the final test, consciousness and death. Even in this purport, Srila Prabhupada quoted Bhagavad Gita chapter 8, text 5 to 15. The chapter of attaining the Supreme. So in the Bhakti Yoga, this chapter is very important chapter, and in which Prabhupada here quoted 10-11 of the verses from Bhagavad Gita. So starting with Antakale cha mameva smaran mukta kalevaram ya prayati sa madbhavam yati nasti atra samshaya. So, and whoever at the time of death quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. So Krishna is assuring in Bhagavad Gita that whoever remembers him at the end of his body, at the end of his life, at the last stages of his life, he will surely attain the spiritual abode of Krishna and Krishna. In this there is no doubt, there is no samshaya. So, and goes on with yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajate anta kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitha. So whether the state of being one remembers when he quits his body, whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. So a few days back we have seen the story of Kailash. So how he remembered how he was continuously meditating on his wealth, his assets, his family members. So he finally got a birth that is suitable to perform those duties, fulfill that desire of him. So Krishna here says, whatever state they think of at the ending stage of life, they will attain that without fail. If one meditates on Krishna, or they will attain the spiritual planets for sure. So here this continues the purpose of this attaining the Supreme. It's a very most important chapter of Gita, where Krishna mainly focuses on how to attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and by continuous meditation upon Supreme Lord and continuous engaging in devotional service. And here Srila Prabhupada calls this momentous hour of living body. That means that final hour, ultimate, the stage of death of Bhishmadeva quitting his body. So in the coming cantos we'll see an example of Ajamila, who is a pious person, but he has a lot of sinful activities on his account. But at the last stage, the chanting of holy name Narayana protected him. Even though he chanted Narayana in the by calling his youngest child, but still Narayana, being so merciful upon him, upon the benefit of doubt, he just sent the Vishnu Dutas to protect him. So, here Bhishmadeva lays a perfect example of how a devotee accepts death. How fortunate Bhishmadeva was. Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his original form, he was present there. So he just continues, he just quits whatever the message that has been delivering to Yudhishthira Maharaj. He suddenly quits that message and he starts meditating upon Supreme Lord without any bondage of material affairs, or everything else will be left over, and he just starts meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead by widening his eyes. So Bhishma sets the glorious example of human life's ultimate function, remembering Krishna and death. So life is a preparation and death is the final ultimate examination. Bhishmadeva, having lived a life centered on dharma and devotion, easily passed this final test. He need not struggle hard to remember the Lord, because remembrance came naturally, because he is a great devotee of the Supreme Lord and he is a most pious person. He is one of the Mahajan, greatest devotee of the Lord. So he continuously engaging in devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of Narayana, 400 form of Narayana. So that remembrance would come naturally when you try to serve the devotees, or when you try to engage yourself sincerely in the devotional service. Srila Prabhupada even explains that if one is absorbed in thoughts of Krishna throughout life, he will surely go back to Godhead. Because in the example of Bhishmadeva, even at the ultimate final hour of death, Supreme Lord Sri Krishna himself is been appearing there just before him, and he had a great opportunity just to meditate upon the Lord very easily. So, in the 8th chapter 7th verse, Krishna advised Arjuna, just think of me and fight Arjuna. Carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. Bhishmadeva demonstrated this. Being a warrior, he kept his mind on Krishna even amidst battle, like whatever the battle conditions they are. Whatever his situation is very critical, or he's lying on the deathbed of arrows piercing. So how much painful it might be, but still irrespective of any situation, he started meditating upon Supreme Lord himself. So in our lives, the challenge is similar. Remembering Krishna and amidst like worldly duties, and irrespective of worldly duties, we may have this, we may have to do occupation, or we may have to study, we may have to engage in household affairs, we may have to engage in this, but still, if we try to engage in devotional service sincerely, if we try to do our sadhana perfectly, Krishna promises that we can remember Krishna at the time of death. So that will not come in a year or 2 years or some short period of time. You have to constantly meditate upon Lord. You have to engage yourself completely, and also you have to dedicate your quality time on the spiritual progress, and even associating with devotees, saintly persons makes it more easier and easier. So I would like to quote an analogy over here. So a driver who practices daily does not think consciously about pedals or gears. It becomes reflexive or easy. Similarly, a devotee who practices daily remembrance of Krishna will automatically think of him at the time of death, even without an external effort. It comes from internally, like your internal consciousness is purified So remembering Krishna becomes very easy. So whatever situation you might be, but still if you try to remember Krishna, if you try to remember his form, beautiful form, Sachidananda Vigraha form, so you will surely attain him at the end of its life. So Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, regular hearing and chanting just trains our consciousness and also increases our faith and the path of spiritual progress. And also our daily chanting of the holy name is rehearsal for our final exam. So daily we are preparing for our final exam. Bhishmadeva had a boon like whenever he wants he can quit his body, but we do not have in our case. We don't know at what time the death may approach us. So we have to be very cautious and we have to be prepared for that at every moment. Bhishma's example shows that perfection is not achieved in the last moment, but it's achieved throughout a lifetime of preparation. So starting from a young age, if you try to engage in devotional service and try to serve the devotees and make the best of their association, then you will be on a right path, realizing who you are and what is the actual purpose of your life, and completely meditating upon Lord and aligning your wish with His desires. So, key takeaway here is whatever occupies our mind daily will surface at our last breath. Daily remembrance of Krishna through chanting, service and study ensures a peaceful, God-conscious departure. So next comes is Bhishma's vision of Krishna, meditation made personal. So Bhishma, here in this purport it is stated, fixed his wide open eyes upon Krishna standing before him. Krishna appeared in his four-handed form dressed in yellow garments, four-handed Narayana form dressed in yellow garments. So here Bhishmadeva recognized that form as original personality of Godhead himself, Krishna himself. His devotion was in Dhasya Rasa, servitorship, with a secondary rasa of Kaivalry, Vaira Rasa. So though he fought against Krishna, it was to please Krishna's desire for Kaivalras exchange, because even in pastimes like in the same pastimes of Lord Krishna once had a fight with Jambavan. Jambavan is the associate of Lord Ramachandra. So Jambavan had a desire of having a fight with Lord. So Lord said that desire will be fulfilled in the next yuga. So he has to wait upon next yuga, and in the next yuga, as we all know, Supreme Personality of Godhead in Dwapara Yuga came himself as the original personality of Godhead, Krishna. So in that yuga, he fought against Jambavan. So this was, even Supreme Personality of Godhead sometimes has this desire like to have a fight with his devotees. That's a mood of Kaivalras mood. So that's a rasa he want to enjoy with his devotees. The Bhishmadeva meditation was not mechanical. It was filled with love, gratitude and surrender. So Krishna, whatever we offer, he doesn't even hanker for anything that we offer. He just hankers for our love and devotion to him. So the Lord reciprocated this love by appearing personally at his bedside. So as mentioned in the sloka, Lord is present in four-handed Chaturbhuja form, wearing glittered and shiny yellow garments. So Srila Prabhupada highlights that Bhishmadeva had no need for yogic exercises. Simple bhakti yoga was sufficient. So we may see many yogis, many saintly persons, like they do austerities like yoga for several years, but still they meditate on the impersonal form of the Lord that leads them to the spiritual effulgence, the Brahma Jyotir, but still, even though they attain the spiritual effulgence, still there is a risk of falling down from there. So here the importance is like simple bhakti yoga devotional service was just sufficient. Nothing else is required. This vision shows the power of devotional meditation to see Krishna face to face. So we can understand how Bhishmadeva was so fortunate and how pious he was and how great Mahajan he was, because for whom Krishna at the end of his devotee's life, he stood personally there and he was personally present over there. So how fortunate he was, Bhishmadeva. Even in a lecture, His Holiness Jayapatak Swami Maharaj mentions that since there is no difference between the Lord's name, form and devotees, meditation on any aspect brings perfection. So, as we all know, the 4 yugas, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga and Kali Yuga, these 4 yugas have 4 different types of dharmas. In Satya Yuga, it is meant for austerities and penances, because the lifetime in that age, like it's a very long lifetime. So people have a long life to perform austerities and penances. Coming to Treta Yuga, slowly the lifeline of that age will gradually decrease. Then in that age, the prescribed duty is to perform yajna or sacrifice. And then comes the Dwapara Yuga, and in that also there's a slight decline in the lifeline of age. So in that like Vigraha Aradhana, like worshipping the deity form of Lord, that is the duty of that Yuga. And in this Kali Yuga, we all know how small our lifeline is, and we don't know how fastly death is approaching us. And so in this yuga, the prescribed dharma is Nama Sankirtana, like chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, kalau nasti eva gatiranyata. Holy name is the only shelter in this yuga. So even if Krishna is not visibly present, remember of his name or form is equally potent. So when we are chanting the holy name, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, so Krishna is present on our tongue, because that name and form is not different. And Haridas Thakur left his body gazing at Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as we see in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Similarly, Bhishmadeva departed gazing at Lord Krishna, which are both in perfect devotion, and this is a perfect example like how a devotee leaves his body. This also, Bhishmadeva was always seeing Krishna within, not just at death, but throughout his life. The Paramatma in Bhishmadeva always guiding him, because he is a great Mahajana and he performs various devotional service sincerely and with loving gratitude. The Lord is, as we all know, Bhakta Vatsala. He reciprocates with the loving meditation of his devotees. So I would like to quote a small analogy over here, as you know, sunlight and reflection. The sun and its reflection both illuminate. Likewise, chanting the holy name brings the same light of Krishna's presence, even if he is not physically visible. The name, form and remembrance of Krishna are not different. One key takeaway is Bhishma's eyes were wide open, not to the pain of arrows or the material world, but to the eternal beauty of Krishna. His example teaches that perfect meditation is personal, loving and continuous. So, as we see in the previous chapters, Savai Pumsa Paro Dharmo Yado Bhakti Radokshade Ahaituki Apratihata Yayatma Suprasidati. So, bhakti should be unintentional and uninterrupted. That is the main dharma, important dharma of a living entity. Then comes the glorious example how Bhishmadeva's passing and our preparation. So Bhishmadeva's departure is a lesson in the art of dying successfully. We all know in the current society we are all famous, like we are hearing how art of living, how to live this life. But Krishna consciousness teaches us how to master the art of death, because it makes us prepare for the death at every moment, like every moment, and remembering Krishna and through the various activities like Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, either one of the way. Because whatever way like you like and you follow, that makes our remembrance on Krishna more and more constantly engaging. Bhishmadeva had the boon to die at his own will, but yet he chose the Uttarayana period, setting an example for others. Though a pure devotee does not depend on astrological moments, Bhishmadeva demonstrated respect for auspicious time and dharma. Because for devotees like Bhishmadeva and for pure devotees, there is, even when he wants to quit his body in other time, whatever time he, as soon as like Krishna has shown his vigilant form and Krishna spoke with Bhishmadeva at the final stage, then he may quit his body just by looking Krishna. But still, Krishna's desire is that Bhishmadeva should deliver the message to Yudhishthira Maharaj such that Bhishmadeva will be glorified. So it was Krishna's desire that Bhishmadeva should quit his body at that auspicious time. And that was his plan, Krishna's plan, that he engaged Bhishmadeva even in that last critical stage of his life by preaching the message of Dharma to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Even though we know Yudhishthira Maharaj is son of religion and Dharma personified, but still he wanted us to understand what is Dharma through their conversation. And Bhishmadeva used this golden opportunity to completely fix his consciousness on Krishna. So this shows us how to best utilize our time and energy in the service of Krishna. So during Bhishma Panchaka, which is very auspicious time, even it just started on 1st of November and on Ekadashi, on Uttana Ekadashi, and it lasts till the last day of Damodar, which is on Wednesday. So these 5 days are the last 5 days in the life of Bhishma Dev. So we devotees observe Bhishma Panchaka, like observing fast from certain grains and food and prasad. So that austerity is like to show respect to Bhishma Dev, and also we have to be more and more purified in our devotional service and in our bhakti. So devotees perform voluntary austerities and penances of observing Bhishma Panchaka. So this verse reveals that detachment and devotion must both culminate at death. He renounced speech, like Bhishmadeva renounced speech, mind and bodily identification by fixing all his attention on the Lord. So this sets an example for all of us, like how at the end of death, like at the last stage of death, how we have to be aloof from this material affairs like material bondage, material attachments, just trying to constantly meditate upon Supreme Lord, trying to engage in his devotional service and associating with his devotees, taking the guidance from spiritual masters and performing the prescribed devotional activities. So Bhishma's life was filled with service, but at death he was completely fixed. The perfection of manmana manabhava madbhakto. So Krishna says to Arjuna, whoever constantly remembers me, I will reciprocate my mercy upon them so that they will more and more engaged upon me. So a successful departure involves association of devotees, chanting of holy name, offering of tulsi and Ganges water, and hearing and kirtana around the departing soul. These are like some of the activities that can be leading to a successful departure of the soul. Then Srila Prabhupada even often said, death is the ultimate test. How we have lived determines how we will die. So in this life, if we attach to so many things, like so many people, we all know how it is. We ourselves is temporary. So what to speak of attaching to all these material conceptions, material opulences, material assets. One day anyhow you will be departing from this world. You will be taking birth as another creature. So what is the use of attaching overly to this material opulences? So that was the thing. So Bhishma's body was pierced, but his consciousness was blissful. This proves that spiritual absorption transcends bodily pain. And this also teaches the balance between detachment from the body and attachment to Krishna. So one may think, like, if we do not attach to all material opulences or material assets, like they may take the example of mystic yogis who meditate upon the impersonal form of the Lord, who renounce everything in their meditation. But it is prescribed in the scriptures by our acharyas that anything that favors Krishna consciousness should not be renounced. Anything that or obstructs the Krishna consciousness progress or path, that has to be renounced. So even though if you are having like house or a car, if you try to engage them in the service of Krishna by inviting devotees to the house and engaging Harinam programs and many Damodar Leela house programs or many other programs, like if you try to involve many devotees, continuous engagement in your house, then that is, you need not renounce your house and you need not go to any forest or something. So that house itself becomes the spiritual place, and where Lord Krishna says, like, wherever my devotee chants or remembers me, I personally present over there. So even the example of car, like if you use your vehicle in the service of devotees, like if you try to serve them by giving your service, then it need not be renounced as many yogic mystics do, but still anything that can be used in service of Krishna cannot be renounced. And every devotee must prepare now for that inevitable moment. The analogy is like exit interview of life. So before leaving a job, we complete all duties and hand over responsibilities, like as we do a knowledge transfer to a new hired person. Whatever the work you are doing, you try to explain them, you try to make a replacement as yours, because you are leaving this job. So the companies say, like, instruct you to train another person so that they don't have any problem after you leave. So Bhishma fulfilled his duties, instructed Yudhishthira, as you all know how knowledge transfer happens in corporate world, how the things are explained to a new the next persons who are taking up your duties and responsibilities. Similarly, here Bhishmadeva explained all the responsibilities of Rajadharma and occupational duties of the societies various varnashrama dharmas. So he instructed Yudhishthira, he transferred all the knowledge, the required knowledge to him, satisfied Krishna, and then peacefully withdrew his attention from this world. This was the most dignified and conscious exit ever made. And the key takeaway of this section is, a successful life is one that ends with remembrance of Krishna. Bhishma's passing demonstrates how a pure devotee turns even death into a glorious victory. So death for a devotee is just like a lion catching its cub, holding it by its jaw. So the cub doesn't have any fear because it knows that it's been protected by his mother. So similarly, devotees know that this death is not gonna suffer them, but it is a gateway to get back to Krishna and have established our constitutional position as eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord. So in the conclusion, I would like to conclude today's text by stating few takeaways. Bhishma's life began with vows of honor but ended with highest vow, unbroken remembrance of Krishna. This is a great example to all the devotees of Krishna. His departure fulfills the Gita's promise. One who remembers Krishna at death never returns to this material world. His example synthesizes knowledge, valor and devotion, all culminating in surrender. No elaborate yoga was needed. Simple bhakti yoga brought the ultimate perfection. The verse is not just historical, it's instructional for every soul preparing to die and live with devotion. So one final analogy for today is eyes open, heart open. So Bhishma's eyes stayed open till his last breath, beholding Krishna. Similarly, we should keep our hearts' eyes open in constant remembrance of Him, never blinking in forgetfulness. As you all know, if we are careless in few moments, Maya Devi, she is just waiting to capture us. So we have to be more careful and try to remember Krishna at all times by chanting the holy name Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the key takeaways summarized is to live every day as preparation for your final test. As you get through even in our school or present days, there will be some surprise test. So similarly, death is also a surprise test. So once we don't know at what moment it may happen, so we have to be prepared at every moment, such that the next moment could be even the death approaching. We don't know. So keep Krishna in the center through his name, form, devotees and service. Bhakti yoga alone brings perfection, not any mechanical austerities may bring. Auspicious death arises naturally from a life of auspicious remembrance. Let Bhishma's wide open gaze upon Krishna inspire our own unbroken meditation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Any questions or comments, discussions?
Thank you for the nice discussion, Bhishmadeva. The art of dying.
Yeah. Because this is the last moment of Bhishmadeva in this world. And he sets up very great example how a devotee, perfect devotee has to be. And we have to strive to act in walk in the footsteps of great acharyas and mahajanas. We can't imitate them, but we just try to follow the instructions and footsteps of them.
One who has remembered Krishna for his whole life by his art of living, that can easily remember Krishna at the time. It was nice.
Grantara Shrimadbhagavatam ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.